Guys, this is Joe. Welcome everyone to today's our MA, our community MA. This is our third MA in our community, so we appreciate everyone to come, enjoying, and share the progress we have. So I think today I would like to talk several parts in this MA. First, I'll some brief introduction about HAG again. And then I will answer some frequently asked questions from our community members, and it will cover OG, the NFT, and also the progress we have on the first tranche of fundraising. And then we'll open the space to the questions. So feel free to raise your questions if you have any. So let me make sure that we are online. Yeah, cool. We're online. So yeah, I think briefly introduction about who I am myself again. So hi everyone, my name is Joe. I am the CFO from HAG. So first part is about brief introduction about HAG, and I think there will be lots of members who join the MA for the first time, or some new members to the community. So please, if you join the HAG community already, please be patient in the first part. So HAG, the full name is Hashrate Asset Group, and the HAG token is the world first secure token that provides the investors with perpetual computing power. And our token is also the only secure token that pays the dividends in Bitcoin on a monthly basis. So it has evolved into a true interest earning asset in the crypto. So I think HAG had three most prominent highlights. It's about fully compliant. Secondly, the transparent and sustainable economy. Last one is the interest-bearing assets with two layers of value. So let me elaborate more, like step by step. So first, it's about fully compliant. So HAG offering is a security token offering, in brief, STO. So we are SEC filed offering under the Regulation D / Regulation S hybrid offering. So that means that if you are the U.S. accredited investors or the investor outside the U.S., you are all eligible to invest in HAG. And I think the only requirement for you guys is to pass the KYC, and that usually are the passport and some address proof for INEX. And I think the HAG's our asset class is security. So that is, buying HAG is just like buying the stocks in the US market. It's all the same. So there will be no barrier for the Web2 investors because traditionally those Web2 investors they might have some limits on how much in their portfolio they could buy the crypto. And because HAG we are security, so that means that we are just like stocks. So there will be no limitation on this part. So yeah, this is about first fully compliant. And secondly, it's about transparent and sustainable economy. So our tokenomics is simple. Every month we will distribute 70% of net yield from the Bitcoin mining and directly distributed to the HAG holders and via the smart contract on a monthly basis. So I think that means that all the process is transparent because it's on chain, and it is verifiable because it's also on chain, and it's also transparent for sure. So this first part, the 70% of net yield distributed to the HAG holders, and the remaining 30% of the net yield from the Bitcoin mining we will use as a reserve pool to maintain the hash power. So that means that you don't you don't face any issue about like hash power decay or depreciation because we'll use the remaining 30% of our net yield to maintain those hash power. So talk a little bit more about net yield. So what's the net yield? And in brief, it will be the gross Bitcoin yield from the Bitcoin mining operations minus the falling cost. Uh, Please take a special notice that this include the cost but not limited to such cost. So first, this will be electricity cost used in the mining and the gas fee for distributions and the mining pool, the commission fees. So the mining pool means that when we mine Bitcoin, we have to first put into certain mining pools, and then we could withdraw such Bitcoins. So there will be the commission fee within this process, and another cost including like mining facility operating cost or some overhead, of course, and also other like indirect cost of mining. And so this is about net yield. And I think we try to make all the financial information transparent as reasonable. And of course, we'll have all this financial kind of data to become the financial statements and be audited by the third party and disclose it to everyone, I think, annually. So this is the second characteristics. It's about transparent and a sustainable economy. And I think next on my list will be the interest-bearing assets. I think to talk about this, we should first talk about HAG. HAG is we have two layers of value when we're talking about HAG. The fundamental value is highly correlated to the Bitcoin price. That is because HAG is aims to pack um sorry, our internet connection is a little bit unstable, so bear with me if there is some some disconnections. So back to what we are talking about, because usually the mining companies, I mean in the US, they usually distribute dividends on a quarterly basis. But I think to make everything transparent enough, and we like to make it. And by the way, we think receiving the dividends is important to investor investing in the Bitcoin mining industry. So we make our distribution frequency on a monthly basis. So and again, we are not distributed in the US dollars. We distribute it in WBTC. So that means that our fundamental value and our dividends is all highly correlated to Bitcoin price because the fundamental value is highly correlated to Bitcoin price, and our dividends is the Bitcoin itself. So I think overall, HAG is the interest-bearing asset that is highly correlated to the Bitcoin price, right? And I think lots of people will ask me or ask our members, so what would be the expected APY for investing in an HAG? I think because of the legal compliance reasons, we could not predict the return of any financial asset, including the HAG. But there are lots of members. They will share their viewpoints toward the Bitcoin or toward HAG within our community, like in Telegram or on Twitters. So feel free to join our community and feel free to talk more and share your view about future price in a group. But as a official, we cannot do so. And of course, like APY for a Bitcoin mining company, so um, it has different like some points we should consider, like the mining difficulty, electricity price, and also some like electricity supply, like stability kind of things. So there are lots of factors that will be included that should be considered when we talk about APY. So it's really complex kind of process. But we provide the financial outlook on our official website to make everything as transparent as reasonable, like I say. So I think HAG will distribute the dividends 65 days after the first tranche and each tranche is closed. I think based on PPM, we will make sure the mine equipment start running 65 days after the launch is officially closed. Therefore, before such date, there will be no revenue distribution. And I think though the duration of the launch is determined by us, by the management team, but we will make sure we'll keep communicating with the community, like the MA today we have. I think we really want to have this kind of MA weekly to make to have some direct interaction with you guys, because I think to make things transparent, I think is one of our vision as well. So we appreciate that. So overall, I think HIG had three main highlights. First, fully compliant. Secondly, it's a transparent and sustainable economy. And last but not least, it's about interest-bearing asset for HAG that is highly correlated to Bitcoin price. Yeah, I think, okay, someone just raised the first questions. Okay, the first question is, as you mentioned before, the launch will be in two tranches. When will you close the first tranche? Yeah, I think this is the important questions. Um, Let me give you some hints about the progress of our first tranche. We have some mind like targeted raising amount for the first tranche, and I'm happy and more than delighted to announce that we already have we reached about 50% of our targets. I think thank you so much for everyone that believe in us, have some trust in HAG. We we appreciate all of this. I think we have the investors from all over the world, from Japan, from Korea, from China, from Singapore, from England, or the UK. We have investors from all around the world. And I think we already made a huge progress. We reached 50% of our targeted amount for the first tranche. So we are almost there. I think it takes us about only 1 month to get here. And we really appreciate that your support and your investments. I think we will make sure that we keep this kind of communication as transparent as reasonable. So I think in brief, we do have some like targeted amount that we should raise in the first tranche to achieve the economy of scale, and I think we already made some 50% progress so far. So yeah, stay tuned and be patient. I think we are almost there. And by the way, I think we have some like exciting kind of program that coming out like OG. I think that I will share with you and provide some more incentives for more people to join HAG in the first tranche. I think we really want the first tranche to be closed as soon as possible. So we are on the same boat with all the investors that already invested in first tranche. We want to close the first tranche as soon as possible. The only thing we make sure is that we have achieved the economy of scale to make sure that your rights will not be harmed and to make sure that economy of scale could achieved. Okay, I see there's a second questions. Will the price of the token be the same in each change? I think it depends. It depends. I think this is also one of like frequently asked questions. I think there are two bases of the pricing based on the PPM. It could be the Bitcoin reference pricings or there will be the secondary market basis for HAG. Before there is an existing secondary market for HAG, the price of change could be based on the Bitcoin reference price. And if there is a secondary market price for HAG, the price of change could be based on the such HAG market price. I think so. It all depends on if you join further or join later or join in an earlier stage. There'll be a little difference because we might adopt different kind of pricing basis. And in fact, the company will adjust the final price of each change to better align with the actual price of attempting the requisite hashing power. So I think the explicit pricing policy is on the PPN, but never hesitate to ask questions if you have one, and we are more than happy to help. Okay, that's it. Is there any third questions? Yeah, by the way, I just bought a light bar right in front of me. So looks better compared to that. Now to be true, that is my one of few times to the MA, so we are progress. Each time, so new time is a light bar. There was some different problem coming up. Okay, I think there's question 3. Is there any difference between the early change and later change aside from the distribution date? Are there any special incentive for the early change? I think yeah, this is a good question. I think the difference could include, but not limited to the starting date for you to receive a dividend. And like I say in the previous questions, the offering price of different changes might not be will be different given different pricing basis. And I think also the value of Bitcoin that you receive for Bitcoin price will fluctuate as well. So the earlier you start to accumulate your Bitcoin from HAG, I think the better you might have make some good profits on this part. And the pricing strategy might move to HAG market price basis once the secondary market is fixed. Again, I think HAG aims to maintain the 1 terahash per second on the Bitcoin hashing power. So based on historical data, the price of mining equipment is highly correlated to Bitcoin price. So I think to achieve that, we need to purchase sufficient kind of mining equipment to maintain those 1 HAG pegged to 1 terahash per second. There might be some launching price differences for a later stage. By the way, there's a new incentive for everyone here is that we will have OG candidates. OG candidates, I think, is limited. The amount of OG is limited. So, if more people join and more people claim the OG, we might, close the OG program. OG, we have lots of utility, and it is more than the title. We do have some monetary utility for the OG. So I think for these questions, what will be the difference between the earlier change and later change? First will be the price of the launching, and secondly, the Bitcoin, the WBTC price might fluctuate. And last but not least, the OG, you might lose your chance to become the OG from HAG. Okay. Q4, yeah, I think this is the must ask questions. So Q4, please introduce your OG system. What benefits and the right does OG have? I think this is a good questions. So OG we have mainly four four rights or four utility or four type for kind of like power that other people cannot have in a community. I think first is that for OG we will have the NFT to those OG. We might have some like collaborations with NFT projects to launch those limited editions of NFT, and it will be the free minted for our OG, and it is not purchasable for community members. And by the way, those NFT is important because if you are OG, we will recognize those NFT to make sure that you are real OG. So that means that you might not have the incentive to sell your OG kind of NFT to others. And the second utility is the WBTC airdrop. And OG will receive additional and WBTC dividends airdrops. You know, there might be the chance for OG to receive like more WBTC as a dividends. So I think this is the great like monetary kind of incentives for you to become OG. Thirdly, is that OG you will have the chance to attend the annual investor conference. So OG will have the exclusive access to our annual investor conference. I think this is a valuable opportunity to hear from us, the management team, and share the views we have to all of the OGs from over the world. I think this kind of exclusive holders kind of meetings is important for you to learn about HAG, to learn about mining industry, to meet me personally and other members from the management teams. I think it will be the wonderful experiences for OG. Maybe we could take some selfie, post it on Twitter for sure. So yeah, this is a third kind of utility for OG. Last but not least, is about the crypto events invitations. You know, we are doing Bitcoin mining, so of course we attend like different kind of like crypto or Web3 kind of gathering, the international gathering around the world. So if you are OG holders, we might reserve a slots for you guys to participate in those crypto events, and we might organize some special events for us and with other crypto like kind of professionals to have some decent talk about the future, about the Bitcoin kind of future, to talk about Bitcoin mining, to talk about that you are the OG of HAG. So I think in brief, therefore utility for OG. First, you will have some exclusive NFT and limited edition of NFT. Secondly, additional WBTC airdrop. Thirdly, you have the chance to attend our annual investor conference. Last but not least, we will reserve a slot for you to join the crypto events, and maybe we'll have some after party kind of gathering events to have some more decent interaction. So yeah, and now this is the four exciting kind of utility we will have for those OG holders. Okay, the question 5, and yeah, this is a good question. So how to get OG? I think there are mainly two ways for you to achieve the OG of HAG. First is that if you invest more than 10K in HAG, you are the OG of HAG. Secondly, we will pick up some active members within our groups, no matter it's Telegram groups or Twitter or future maybe a Discord. If you are active members, we'll elect like those people, those community members as our OG. So this is mainly the two way for you to become the OG. First, invest more than 10K in HAG. Secondly, become active and be selected by us to become an OG. So this is mainly the two-way for you guys to join the HAG OG program. Yeah, I think before there's a further questions, I think I'm really excited to introduce this OG because OGs is kind of special term or special title, especially in the Web3 because people want to be the OG. So become OG of HAG, I think it not only sounds good, you will receive some utility, monetary utility, and also some some like a fractional utility for you to become OG. So never hesitate to buy more HAG, more than 10K, or become active within the community. Okay, the Q6 NFT sounds interesting. Could you please tell us more details on it? Yeah, of course. I think recently we have talked with like different NFT projects. Some of them is the top 10 projects on OpenSeas, and I think we are discuss with them that we have OG programs and we have this kind of different different kind of utility for the OGs. So is there any chances for for them to design the exclusive NFT for our OG? I think all of them are pretty pretty positive on this part, and currently more and more people are are saying yes to the future of Bitcoin. So we do have some good communications with some NFT projects. I think the blue chip NFT project to figure out that for XM to have some collaboration with them to help design our exclusive NFT for our HAG OGs. So NFT is HAG's NFT is the way we recognize that you are the real OG. So I think it will be like non-transferable, and I think because when you transfer, your utility will be stopped it. So if you are the OG holders, you should keep your NFT, and I think we might have some different level of like members within the community in the future to make all the things like much interesting. So first, this is our first program. It's about OG, and later on we might have some different kind of like different kind of setting for community members to have some like interesting kind of interaction within the community. Okay, the Q7. Yeah, let's get back to the investment. Okay, cool. Q7, if I invest 5K in the first change, does every following investment need to be 5K? Yeah, I think the answer is no, because HAG just get the permission from NX about your potential minor investment following your initial investment that passed the minimum requirement on the investment. So NX mentioned that on the investment page, the investment, that means you guys will not be able to enter a lesser amount. I mean, the amount less than 5K. However, if you directly send the via to HAG's bank account or crypto, the USDC or USDT to our HAG official wallet, this is not something that will be rejected, aka that is acceptable. So the brief answer to this question is yes, you could do some some like fund investment that is less than 5K. And for example, if you invested already 5K to HAG, you could invest additional 2K to HAG. And such 2K should be directly sent to HAG's official bank account or the wallet address, same as the one you saw on the investment page on the index. And also, the same logic could be applied to HAG's subsequent changes. To be more specific, if you invest the 5K in the first change, you could invest 2K in the second change. using the method that we mentioned, that I mentioned about in previously. But if you already invest in 5K, you should invest in another 5K to get those IG, those OG kind of title. This is not for marketing, but you need to get you could get an OG title if you invested in 10K in HAG. So I think we highly recommend it if you are able to. We all highly recommend it everyone to become OG of HAG. Please keep in mind this OG program will be limited, and so the earlier you get your OG, then you're earlier OG of those OG. Okay, so I think you can make some subsequent like minimum investment for sure, but take into account about our OG programs. Okay, the QA. Could APY be lower during the next half life of Bitcoin? I think we provide the financial outlook on our website, and we try to average out the effect and take many factors into consideration, including but not limited to the mining difficulty, rewards from the Bitcoin network, the hash rate replenishments, and others. So those factors fluctuate and hard to predict. So we provided those financial outlooks with assumptions only for reference for sure. But in fact, given the rule of supply and demand, the APY based on USD might not be lower, given that there is the halving effect for the Bitcoin mining in the future. Because there are many discussions about a potential Bitcoin price movement, given the halving effect is coming, but we could not have any we will not have any comment on this part because of compliance issue. But in my opinions, those APY could be positive or negative kind of fact to HAG's APY. The Bitcoin price will the having effect will might have some like positive or negative effect on our HAG's APY. But if you are talking about the APY based on US dollars, there might be the negative or positive effect, of course, but it will depends on the movement of the Bitcoin price. When the Bitcoin price goes up, then I think the APY of HAG will not be affected like significantly. So I think this is all about the Bitcoin price movements, and I think if you look back into the history, there are clear cycle, the option cycle on the Bitcoin price, and those option cycle is along with the halving effect we have in the past. So I think those halving effect might have some have some like option kind of effect on the Bitcoin price if we look into the past. So I think one viewpoint I think I could provide you to think of is that this is not the first halving in the Bitcoin network, and the miners, the Bitcoin mining industry still exists. That means that the industry is still profitable. And our management team stepped into the Bitcoin mining back in 2014, and we're still here. So I think you should have some concern about potential risk, but I think you should not, not that worried about the Bitcoin mining, the halving effect. But feel free to have some discussions within the Telegram groups or on the Twitters. We are more than happy to answer all the questions on this part. So again, I think for this, you could check out the financial outlook for reference. But feel free to have some jump into different discussion with us in the community. Yeah, I think I have already answered all the frequently asked questions from you guys. So the floor is open. feel free to join and type your questions in the chat. I think I'm more than happy to answer. Yeah, I think by the way, by the time you are typing your questions, I think there are several members that are raising the questions beforehand that might able to join this MA like live, but they would like to raise the questions beforehand. So the first question is about like the BTC and the WPTC. So what's the difference? So WBTC is an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain. And then the WBTC is pegged to the Bitcoins. So WBTC is backed 1-to-1 with Bitcoin. To mint WBTC, you should submit a request to a WBTC merchant along with the payments. So that means that if you want to mint one WBTC, you should at least prepare one BTC and several fees to mint the WBTC. And the merchant will complete the ML, anti-money laundering, and KYC on the submitter. And if everything is checked, I think the merchant will send the BTC to the custodian, who will mint the equivalent amount of WBTC. So I think basically you can understand WBTC is the BTC on the Ethereum blockchains, and I think WBTC could be easily tradable on the decentralized exchange or on the centralized exchange. I think the price is packed like good and stably to the BTC. I mean the WBTC price is packed is remain stable. So I think this is a good way for you guys to receive the BTC dividends in the WBTC way. So I think in my mind, I think WBTC is about equals to the BTC, and but with more more liquidity because you could sell it on the decentralized exchange or central exchange based on Ethereum. So yeah, and also others raising the questions about those DeFi or some farming or staking about HAG. I think so. Technically, HAG is based on ERC 14 OVO, and that is compatible to ERC 20. So technically speaking, those ERC 20 kind of DeFi might compatible to HAG, but due to the compliance kind of issues, we are still working on this part. I think this is homework that the government, the HAG, or every DeFi kind of project to consider. How do we, complete all this, in a compliant way, transparent way, in a sustainable way. So, to be honest, like HAG and security token is kind of new to the whole crypto industry. So, we are the pioneer and you guys are the pioneer. So, we take some time for us to figure out what is the base way among the government, among the issuer, and among the projects. So, you know, technically speaking, this is compatible, but for the compliance issue, there's still some work that we should work on. So yeah, this is like further question that we receive before our AMA starts from the community members. Yeah, I think feel free to raise your questions. I think if not, I think maybe I could start a little bit at this part. I think we would like to have this kind of weekly MA with all of you guys. Everything is enough for you guys. So never hesitate. You could MA to learn more about HAG because friends they are out about HAG because they heard. do business. And so they're not have much more confidence in us. So you can ask those information or to interact with us within the community. So we are more than happy to everything transparent as possible. About this and May first is that we have made 50% progress for the first potential fundraising. Secondly, we already announced our HAG program. It should is become active to become an OG. And OG have four duties. First is about exclusive NFT. Secondly is about additional WBTC airdrop. That's it's about access to our new community to talk with us, to talk with community. As well as you might have right